How's it going, everyone? My name is DestinyElement. Hope you guys are all doing well, and we are back with another Honkai Star Rail video for today. And I know it's been a while since my last video. I've been pretty busy. I do a bit of traveling, and I also have classes that are starting up soon for the semester, for the summer semester. So I don't really know what my upload schedule is going to look like, but I do want to make sure that I have some form of content out for you guys. So I'm going to try to upload at least like once a week. I want to make sure I have somewhat of a consistent upload schedule. So for today, I do have a guide for you guys. So Luocha is now out, his banner is here, and I know I'm running a little bit late with that, but I wanted to do a guide for him. I wanted to go over his pros, his cons. I wanted to talk about light cones that work really well with him, relics you can run on him, and team comps that work really well on him. So this guide is going to be a little bit different because, like my usual guides, I usually have the character, so I'm able to do a more in-depth analysis of those characters and I can show them off more, but I unfortunately did not summon for Luocha, and I also don't think I am gonna summon for him. I just have other characters that I'd rather save for. So this guide, I'm gonna try to give you guys the most accurate information, and I'm also going to try to give my justifications on why I would possibly run these light codes or these artifact sets on him, because he is the newest character that we have, and I kind of want to just give you guys the best information possible. So some of this will be my opinion, but if there's anything that I maybe missed out on or anything that I should have touched up on more, let me know in the comments section. But just like always, leave a like, comment, subscribe. It really does help me out, and I greatly appreciate all the support. And yeah, let's get into the video. So getting into Luocha, obviously I want the video to be short, simple, and straightforward. I'm going to basically go over his abilities and his traces first and what he can supply to your team. So Luocha, being an imaginary abundance character, he is going to be able to apply imprisonment to enemies whenever he breaks their toughness. So this is actually a really good debuff. It's going to be able to delay the enemy's turn. It's going to be able to get your allies some more turns, and you're going to be able to heal more while the enemy is in prison. Now, because he is a healer that scales off of attack, he is going to be relatively more squishy than characters like Natasha or Bailu, but even though he is going to be squishier, he is going to hit also a lot harder than them. Now, the first thing I want to cover is his basic attack. His basic attack is going to deal imaginary damage to one singular enemy based off of his attack stat. The next thing I want to cover is his skill. His skill is also going to heal one ally based off of his attack stat, and it's going to give you one stack of Abyss Flower, so I'm going to get more into that when we talk about his talent. The second part of his skill, though, is the interesting part. So he actually has, I want to say, a smart heal. Whenever the ally is under or at 50% HP, he is able to automatically use his skill without the consumption of skill points. So he's going to be able to auto heal one singular ally every 2 turns, and this is great. It's going to keep your team up and running, and honestly, it reduces the amount of skill points you need to use when you're using his skill, so you're not really spamming or like panic healing with his skill constantly. But overall, it's still it's a really great skill. The next thing I want to talk about is his ultimate. So his ultimate is going to deal AoE imaginary damage to all enemies, and it's going to dispel one buff from those enemies as well too, and it's going to give him another stack of Abyss Flower. So this ultimate can hit relatively pretty hard, and it's also going to be really good against bosses that buff themselves, or in general enemies that have buffs, like the Mara struck enemies that have rebirth that can revive themselves. So yeah, it's a great ultimate and lots of utility, and between the skill and the ultimate you get both of his stacks for Abyss Flower. So now we can start talking about his talent. Okay, so when it comes to his talent is Cycle of Life. So whenever you reach 2 stacks of Abyss Flower, you're going to consume all those stacks, and it's going to deploy a field against the enemies. So whenever you deal damage to an enemy in that field, the attacking ally's HP is going to be restored by an amount equal to Luocha's attack, and this is also going to last for 2 turns. So it's something to keep in mind that this field is going to go by Luocha's turns. So if you have Luocha with a lot of speed, that means he's going to get his turns quicker, and that means this field is going to last for less time. Now, if you were to have a Luocha with a little bit less speed than the rest of your team, then your team is going to be able to attack more, and your team's going to be able to also heal more. So this is also really important to keep in mind, whether you're building Luocha with a lot of speed or with less speed. So that's something to keep note of. Next is his technique. So whenever he uses his technique, whenever you go into battle, his talent Cycle of Life is automatically going to proc. So you're going to have that field of healing whenever you go into battle. So it's pretty useful. If your team is going into battle with not a lot of HP, you get that increase of healing. You get some nice sustainability, and it's kind of nice to just have that at the beginning of the turn. So the final thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to his traces are his bonus abilities. So we have Cleansing Revival. Whenever he uses his skill, he's going to be able to remove one debuff off of an ally, and this is just really useful in general because as we get further into the story, as we get harder content, being able to cleanse debuffs I think is really important. It's probably one of the best utils that you can have in the game, because then stuff like freeze, stun, entanglement, stuff like Kafka's domination, like that's not going to affect you, and it kind of relieves a bit of stress while you're doing content, so that's really nice to have. The next thing I want to talk about is Sanctify. So whenever an enemy in the field is attacked by an ally, all allies except the attacker is going to restore HP equal to 7% of Luocha's attack. So you're going to have the initial healing that the attacker is going to get, and then separately all allies on the team will also be healed by a certain percentage. So this is really nice. It's a great thing to have, and it's kind of like a lifesteal bonus. Your whole team is kind of just healing from hitting enemies, and it's like the more attack that Luocha has, the more healing you're gonna get. So it's really nice cohesive kit. Okay, and when it comes to his final major trace, Through the Valley, this is going to increase his crowd control debuff resistance by 70%, so you don't have to worry about him being frozen or incapacitated or stunned. So this is actually a really good trace for him, because for the most part you don't really want your tanks or your healers to succumb to any debuffs. But yeah, now that we talked about that, I wanted to actually get into light cones. So the first light cone that's obviously the best for him would be his best in slot, Echoes of the Coffin. This is going to give him a attack increase, it's going to give him energy, and it's also going to increase all allies speed as well too whenever he pops his ultimate. So it's a good light cone, it's going to give him buffs, it's going to make him hit harder, it's going to make him heal more, and it's just a really nice light cone to have, but I don't think it's mandatory on him. There are a lot of good free-to-play options that I'm going to go over. So the first thing I want to show you guys are some of the 4-star light cones that I would actually say are really good on him. The first light cone I would want to mention is Post-Op Conversation. This is going to give you energy regen, and it's going to increase your outgoing healing. So two very important stats. It's just going to make your healing a lot better, and it's going to give you some freedom to run some more attack percent on him, and having energy regeneration rate is also just a really good stat to have, and it's the hardest stat to get in the game currently. So I would recommend this as probably his second best in slot. The third one that I actually want to mention is Perfect Timing. So this light cone is going to increase his effect resistance even further, but his outgoing healing is going to also scale off of his effect resistance. So this light cone, in my opinion, is really good on him. And if we do get another 4-piece relic set or a 2-piece relic set that scales off of effect resistance, this is going to have great synergy with it. And honestly, I could see this light cone becoming his second best in slot in the future. Another light cone I would recommend would actually be Time Waits for No One. So this light cone is pretty good. It's going to increase his HP, so he's going to be a little bit more tankier. It's going to give him some outgoing healing, and it's also going to make him deal additional damage as well too whenever an ally launches an attack. So it's not too bad. You're going to get that additional damage whenever an ally attacks. You're going to get some additional healing when they attack. Your team is going to get healed. So some pretty nice synergy, and your Luocha overall will be a little bit tankier because he has that HP increase. So I would probably say those are his best options when it comes to free-to-play light cones, or just light cones in general, if you don't have his limited one. Okay, so moving on to relics, I think there are a lot of good relic options for him. Unfortunately though, I will say this at the beginning, I don't think there is any 4-piece relic set that he can really utilize to its fullest potential. Like, I don't think there's a 4-piece set that's like dedicated to him specifically, because he has such a unique kit. And he's also the first healer that's scaling off of attack. So the first set I recommend would be Musketeer of the Wild Wheat, and this is going to increase your attack stat. It's going to give you a little bit of speed if you need to be quicker, and it's also going to give you some basic attack damage as well too. The second set I recommend would be Passerby of the Wandering Cloud. This is going to increase your outgoing healing, and it's going to give you that extra skill point at the beginning of battle. Now, both of these 4-piece sets aren't bad. Like, having that extra skill point is great, and then having the increased speed is also nice on Wild Wheat. The only thing is, in my opinion, I just don't think the basic attack damage is necessary, and I also don't think that skill point that you get from Wandering Cloud is also necessary either. Like, they're kind of just all right. I do recommend running a 2-piece of Wild Wheat and a 2-piece of Wandering Cloud. That way you can get the outgoing healing and you can also get an attack increase. Now, as for planetary sets, there are a lot of great options for him. The first option I recommend would be Fleet of the Ageless. This is going to increase his HP, and it's also going to give all your allies a nice attack increase. So this is just a pretty good set. It's a consistent set because him having the increased HP means that he can be a little bit more tankier, and it also means that he has some longer survivability. The next set I actually recommend would be Space Sealing Station, because this is going to increase his attack by 24% if he has over 120 speed. So this is going to increase his basic attack damage, and it's also going to increase his healing overall, and it's just going to make his healing capabilities a lot better. Now, the final set I recommend would be Sprightly Von Whack. This is going to increase his energy regen, and it's going to advance his action by 40% as well whenever he goes into battle. Now, I know that there is some controversy with him having a lot of speed and having his action advance, because what happens is that if your Luocha is too quick, and he gets too many turns off, his talent, his flower, his cycle of life field, that is actually going to go way quicker. So that means the window of opportunity for your team to heal is going to be smaller. Now, even so, with that taken into account, he is a character that generates a lot of skill points for your team. And because of that, he is going to be able to, have those extra skill points ready to heal your team. And it also means that the more turns that he gets out and the quicker that he is, the cooldown on his smart healing off of his skill is also going to go by quicker. So, those 2 turns that are required for his cooldown on his smart heal, this is going to obviously come by faster, and you're going to be able to heal your team regardless. So I guess it really depends on how you want to build him. If you want to build him for a little bit extra damage, I recommend running Herta's Space Sealing Station so that you can have that 24% attack increase. If you want to make sure that your basic attacks deal a little bit more damage, you could run Musketeer. Now, I think overall you should try to stretch your stats across the board. So, he heals exceptionally well, even if you don't fully invest in attack stat for him. So I would probably say going for a 2-piece Musketeer, 2-piece Wandering Cloud, and then going for something like Fleet of the Ageless will be your best bet, because this is going to give him some extra survivability, and having that attack increase for all your allies is always nice, because that way you can just get more damage out in general. When it comes to your main stats, you're obviously going to have HP and attack on your helmet and your gloves. For the chest piece, I recommend running either outgoing healing or attack percentage, and then for your boots, I also recommend running speed or attack percentage. If you are running attack percent on your boots, then I would probably say you can run something like outgoing healing on your chest piece. If you're running speed on your boots, then I would probably recommend running attack percentage on your chest piece instead. So when it comes to his planetary sets, I think you have a couple good options. For his orb, I recommend running imaginary damage, because I feel like his ultimate and his basic attack can hit relatively hard, so having that increased scaling is always nice. But if you're not really worried about damage, you can always run attack percentage on your orb, and you can run energy regeneration on your rope. Both really good options. If you do want to have imaginary damage on your orb, I recommend running attack percentage on your rope instead, though. So overall, he is pretty unique when it comes to building, and he has a lot of good options, but for the most part, I think you should try to balance your attack and your healing. So that's why I recommend the 2-piece Musketeer and 2-piece Wandering Cloud, and I just think Fleet of the Ageless is going to give you a nice bit of survivability as well too. So you can honestly go either or with energy regen or attack percent on the rope, and if you want to maybe go for a little bit more damage, you can either do attack percent or imaginary damage on the orb. Okay, so now that we talked about his abilities, his traces, we talked about his light cones and relics that you can run on him, the final thing I wanted to talk about are team comps. And him being an imaginary healer, he has a lot of teammates that work really well with him. He has a very strong and cohesive kit, so he has a lot of flexibility with who you pair him up with. The first team that comes to mind is a triple imaginary team. You could do Welt, Yukong, Luocha, and then run a off pick like someone like Japard or another DPS, and he does a really good job. If you are looking to replace your Bailu or Natasha, he can fill that slot on any team for the most part. Whether you're running him with a DPS character like Sealy or Jing Yuan, he does a great job with that too. Honestly, I think with how strong his kit is, the utility that he offers, I don't really see him falling off anytime soon. And I think he could be a great addition to anyone's account. If you are someone that doesn't have Bailu, and you're only using Natasha as your sole healer or support in the game, if you are someone that doesn't have Japard, if you are someone that is looking to replace Bailu or Natasha, then I think he could be a great addition to your account. If you need that second healer for Memory of Chaos or Forgotten Halls, he is going to be a great pick for you as well too. So just a really good character all around. Strong stats, strong kit, and great synergy with a lot of characters. So really happy about his addition into the game. So that's basically going to be it for me, guys. I really hope this video was able to help any of you guys out, and I know the editing was a little bit different, and you guys can let me know in the comment section if you guys would want more videos edited like this, or if you guys like it when I kind of have those like in-game analysis and I can show everything in-game instead of like editing the pictures and stuff into the video. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, thank you guys for the support once again, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace. I wanna stay for